Some comments are just noise. A player gives a standard, cliche answer about a former coach, and nobody thinks twice. But every now and then, a comment isn't just a comment, it's a message, a signal flare. And when Caitlin Clark started praising her former Iowa coach, Lisa Blunder, it wasn't just nostalgia. It was a desperate cry for help that exposes the deep sealed problems in Indiana. And while Clark reflects on the brilliant, stable system she had at Iowa, her current team, the Indiana Fever, as we know, under coach Stephanie White, looks completely and utterly lifeless. And they are a team in free fall, crushed by devastating injuries, baffling losses, and an offense that is totally broken. As Clark talks about a system where every single player know their role, the Fever look like five strangers who just met in a parking lot. And this isn't just a sophomore slump for a star player. This is a systematic failure. And Clark's words just gave us the blueprint for what's going wrong. So before we get to the clips, I want to show you guys the article. And it says Stephanie White sends clear message to Indiana Fever after ugly loss to Mercury. And it goes on to say, the Indiana Fever's hot streak is officially over after suffering their first defeat in 6 games on Tuesday against the Los Angeles Sparks. Indiana lost again on Thursday, so they fell to the Phoenix Mercury in embarrassed fashion 95-60. All the momentum the Fever were able to build up of late has now come crashing down as they end their 4 game road trip on a very sour note. Sorry, family. Indiana head coach Stephanie White, however, remains fully confident in her team. Following Thursday's deflating loss, the veteran coach sent a clear message to her players in the aftermath of one of their worst defeats of the season. And she goes on to say, I'm proud of this group, she said in her post-game conference. We continue to fight. It wasn't pretty. Sometimes you have these games, but we continue to fight. We continue to play hard. We continue to stay together. And White was then asked about how she intends to address the morale on the squad following such a tough loss as they prepare for Saturday's rivalry showdown against the Chicago Sky, which takes place today. In the first year, Fever coach took the opportunity to express how proud she is of her squad. And then this is Stephanie White words. She says, we talk about it, White said, just staying together. Look, there are going to be days when you don't make shots. There are going to be days when you feel like you're stuck in mud. We're not immune to that like any other team, but it's about the bigger picture of how we respond to that. And she goes on to say, this group was still tight in our hurdles. Tight in our huddles. And this group was still engaged in timeouts. And this group was still going out executing on both ends. And that's what it's about. This is a group that's been through a lot this entire season. We love each other. We pull for each other. And I think in moments like this, you can continue to see that. And to me, that is one of the things I'm proudest of with this group. According to White, these type of situations present an opportunity for players to show their true character. And she has been with this team long enough to determine what type of individuals compromise the group. And White is confident that these kind of tests are only going to make them better in the long run. So let's go to Caitlin Clark when she talks about Coach Bludder's practices. Check it out.
Even our backup post players, like I always think about like how Coach Bluder like ran practices and things. And like I'm very fortunate looking back and like now going to like watch other colleges practices and things like that. Like she really like was so intentional about like making sure everyone was on the same page and like knew what they were doing and knew their role. In a way, like when I talk to people about it, I like joke like she brainwashed people, not like actually, but like
no,
you
part
like
of it is a
were
little
like
bit of
brainwashed into like, okay, if you drive here, like you're going here and you're going here. And like even now at the professional level, I'm like, how do people not know like where to move? Like it blows my mind still. Like, but I think it just makes me like really appreciative of like what Coach Bluder was able to do when we were at Iowa. Like she was so smart. She was able to like construct a team and make sure everyone always knew what they were going to do, whether you were the smartest basketball player on the team or you weren't. Like you were always on the same page with your teammates. And
it's not
even our back.
Well, there you have it. I want to show you guys a second clip because Caitlin Clark actually addressed her turnovers.
Because your first game out,
I don't have very good risk assessment skills.
We'll get to that. No, like your first game out, there's a lot of hype. Yeah. There's a lot of conversation happening. We all remember it.
That game was a blur.
Yeah.
Thank God. I try to forget that.
Well, I'm going to bring it up one time.
No, that's fine. I like talking about it now.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
So you do commit 10 turnovers
I do.
in your WNBA debut, but
what a beast.
Later in the season.
Double, actually.
Yeah. You did have 20 points. Later in the season, you also set the single assist season record with 19 assists. So as somebody who has the ball in their hands pretty much the entire game, like what is your thought around risk assessment? Honestly,
it's hard.
But how did a 10 turnover game not impact your ability to still go out and play make? Because I feel like that is what it is. It's a constant assessment.
Well, I will say I apologize to the team after that game. I felt really bad.
It happens.
Yeah. But I mean, like I've had those games before, and I'm gonna have another 8 turnover game in my career. Like that's just how I played, and like people always try to make a big deal about that. And I bet if you like look up my turnovers in college, I bet I led the NCAA all time in turnovers in my career. Like I'm not saying like this is the good thing to brag about, but like I don't know, like that's just how I play.
You think it just comes with in order to have the good?
Yeah.
And like there's trade-offs.
Yes, I can improve and get a lot better, and I understand that. And I feel like that's probably been one of the positives I've taken out of even this year. Obviously, I haven't been available as much as I would have liked, or it's been so hard stop and go, and it's hard to get in a flow. But like even when I just came back this last time, like I feel like I played some of my best like floor games. In general of like just managing the game and like passing, setting my teammates up, and maybe I haven't shot it as great as I would have liked, and it's just hard to get into a flow of how much I've been out and in the lineup, and then I'm on a minutes restriction and things like that. But even like late game, like I feel like I've managed games much better than I maybe did my rookie year, and that's something that like isn't probably always talked about, but like I can find confidence in that. But I think the risk assessment thing, like maybe it's a toxic part of me, but I always think it's going to go well, and then I throw it and it doesn't go well.
Honestly, a little delusion is nice.
Yeah.
So you weigh the good with the bad. Now I want to have a conversation with you guys, right? To understand the depth of the Indiana Fever's crisis, you first have to understand the basketball universe Caitlin Clark was built in. It was a world meticulously designed by Lisa Bluder, a world of structure, purpose, and offensive poetry. And speaking on Sue Bird's YouTube show, Clark gave a stunning look into that world. And in doing so, she unintentionally exposed her current professional nightmare. She joked that Coach Bluder brainwashed her players, as you guys heard, and not in a sinister way, but by drilling basketball IQ so deep that their on-court movement became pure instinct. And Clark said she was so intentional about making sure everyone was on the same page and knew what they were doing and knew their role in a way. And that one word says it all: intentional. Every drill, every play, every single cut had a clear purpose. There was zero confusion. And then Clark delivered the line that should send a shockwave through the Fever's front office, because she said, even now at the professional level, I'm like, how do people not know where to move? Like, it blows my mind still. And that's not an observation. That is a direct critique. And it's the sound of a generational talent looking at her professional teammates and wondering why they don't speak the same basketball language she was taught. And at Iowa, they famously used 4 or even 5 shooters, creating beautiful floor spacing that Bluder's system exploited with lethal precision. And it was a system built on trust and predictability. And Clark always knew where her outlets would be. And this was more than X's and O's. It was about culture. So when Bluder retired, Clark championed the promotion of Jane Jensen, stressing the value of continuity. And it's obvious that Clark doesn't just prefer, but thrives in an environment of elite preparation and strategic clarity. In a world where everyone is on the same page, a world that feels a million miles away from the chaos consuming the Indiana Fever, that was college. And this is the WNBA, and the Indiana Fever's 2025 season is an absolute train wreck. A team that entered the year with championship buzz is now a symbol of pure frustration, and a contrast to Clark's time at Iowa is brutal. The team's recent performance has been a catastrophe, and is basically epitomized by a soul-crushing 95-60 blowout loss to the Phoenix Mercury, and they didn't just lose, they looked like they didn't belong on the court, drowning in turnovers, bricking shot after shot. And this isn't a one-off. It's a symptom of a terminal illness. After a 5-game winning streak gave fans a false sense of hope, the Fever have come crashing back down, exposing every one of their fatal flaws. The offense is stagnant, the defense is a mess, and the players look defeated. On top of it all, the injury apocalypse, right? The team has been gutted by a string of horrible luck. In that same game against Phoenix, the Fever lost 2 key guards to season-ending injuries. Sidney Colson with a torn ACL and Ari McDonald with a broken foot. And this happened while their superstar, Caitlin Clark, was already sidelined with a groin injury that has kept her out for weeks with no clear timeline for her return. So the result, the Fever were left without a single healthy true point guard. And they are now begging the league for emergency hardship contracts just to fill the roster. And this is a 5-alarm fire. The team that was supposed to represent the bright future of the WNBA is now a walking mass unit held together with tape and a prayer. But at the end of the day, you can see through Scotch tape because it's clear. You can see it clear as day. This is where Caitlin Clark's comments land with the force of a hammer. When you put her description of Lisa Bluder's brainwash intentional system next to the on-court chaos of Stephanie White's Indiana Fever, you're left with one glaring question. What is the plan in Indiana? Under Bluder, Clark was the conductor of a symphony. Under White, she's a solo artist forced to play every instrument, and when she's not on the court, there's no music at all. And the offense constantly devolves into disorganized one-on-one basketball. The crisp cuts and perfect spacing Clark remembers from her college days are gone. So let's ask the uncomfortable questions. Is Stephanie White's system too rigid, or is it not structured enough, leaving players to freelance without a shared basketball IQ? These are the questions fans are screaming at their TVs every time the Fever play, and these are the questions I'm asking. And after the brutal Phoenix loss, White said she proud of this group, and we continue to fight, and it wasn't pretty, and she keeps talking about unity, but at some point, fight is just a buzzword when your team looks this tactically incompetent. And the blessing in disguise comment she made about Clark's injury now seems delusional. While other players have tried to step up, the team has no identity. Clark's absence wasn't a blessing, it was an expose that revealed there is no plan B. You got Jeff Teague out here being ignorant, talking about he's starting a Caitlin Clark hate train, that the Indiana Fever is better without Caitlin Clark because they won 5 games. Like, that is a whole synopsis to really say that she doesn't belong on the team when she the one that changed the whole trajectory of the WNBA, which is just ignorant and stupid and foolish within itself. And he needs to be held accountable because you cannot be saying no outlandish stuff and you can't even substantiate your point just because they won 5 games. This team hasn't, if you want to be technical, last year, her first year being a rookie in the WNBA, this team hasn't seen the playoffs in 16 plus years? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm always open to the possibility of being wrong. But Clark's praise for Bluder is an unintentional but direct indictment of her current situation. She knows what an elite offense feels like, and this ain't it. If you're watching these Fever games and feeling the same frustration, hit that subscribe button right now, and I need to hear from you in the comments. Is this a coaching problem that Stephanie White has to answer for, or are the issues here even bigger? Drop your take below. And beyond the strategy, an invisible poison is killing this team, the atmosphere. The Indiana Fever don't just look hurt, they look lifeless. Watch the bench during the opponent's run. You see the slumped shoulders, the 1,000-yard stares. This is a look of a team whose spirit has been broken by injuries and humiliating losses. And the pressure on this team is suffocating. Caitlin Clark's arrival brought a global spotlight and the weight of impossible expectations. Now every loss is a national headline. That pressure is now mixed with a sense of hopelessness. And when you lose your star player and then her 2 primary backups is in the very same game, it's easy to surrender to a here we go again mentality. Stephanie White could talk about keeping the group tight, but the product on the floor tells the real story. This team looks emotionally exhausted. The fight, she praises, seems to last for about 5 minutes before the reality of their situation crushes them all over again. And this isn't just about losing games anymore, it's about the complete erosion of belief. For Caitlin Clark, watching this from the sidelines has to be agony. She's a historic competitor forced to witness her team completely implode, and she is seeing the one thing she had never experienced at Iowa, never had to experience at Iowa: a total and complete system collapse. At Iowa, there was always a plan. In Indiana, there are only problems. The stability she built her career on has been replaced by relentless chaos. So when Caitlin Clark talks about how Lisa Bluder brainwashed her Iowa team into being great, it's not just a compliment to an old coach. It's a lament. It's a cry for help from a superstar watching her sophomore season evaporate. Not just because of an injury, but because of a system that appears fundamentally broken. And she is publicly daydreaming about structure and clarity while living in a reality of disorganization and defeat. The Indiana Fever are in a full-blown crisis, and Stephanie White is facing the defining challenge of her career, trying to manage a perfect storm of injuries, losses, and destroyed morale. Her reassurance that the team is fighting are starting to ring hollow, and when the on-court play is this aimless, and this lifeless, the potential for greatness is right there, but potential doesn't win championships. Systems do. Coaching does. And right now, the system in Indiana is failing its players, its fans, and its once in a generation superstar. So what's the verdict? If you think this is a coaching crisis, smash that like button. If you think the blame lies somewhere else, share this video and let's get the debate started. But most importantly, I want your honest, unfiltered take in the comments below. Is Stephanie White the right choice or the right coach to fix this mess, or are we watching the Indiana Fever waste a crucial year of Caitlin Clark's prime? Catch you in the next one. Peace.